Welcome to Immigration Uncovered, the DocketWise video podcast, where we dive deep into the dynamic and quickly changing world of immigration law. I'm your host, James Pittman, co founder of DocketWise. Today, I'm joined by Oytun Tez, Chief Technical Officer of Motaword, a very well known online translation company. Oytun, welcome.
Well, great to be here, James. Thank you very much for having me.
I'm so glad to have you here on the podcast. Oytun and I have run into each other a lot of times at conferences. We always have great conversations. So,
Yeah.
Oytun, tell us about Motaword. How did Motaword begin? What was its inception, and how did you get involved in the company?
Yeah, I kind of grew up with Motaword because I was 23 years old, I think, when we started this 11 years ago. Uh, I studied linguistics, I studied translation studies, but I had the software engineering background already. So the translation industry, translation studies kind of gave me an industry to execute my software engineering stuff. And then I met Evren, my boss and co-founder. He was already running a large translation agency, more of a traditional translation agency. But when we combined these people together, Motaword happened. Basically, 10 years ago, we really wanted to modernize how translation worked, starting from how you're ordering it, how you're monitoring it, and how you're getting your deliverables back to you. So we basically reviewed the whole process, see where we can which steps we can remove, which steps we can improve. And since then, we've been doing this every single day.
What was the first area that Motaword went into? Was it the legal area or something else? Because you can see on your website that you're really involved in a number of different industries, legal, healthcare, finance, other types of business, and so on.
Right. We can think of Motoword as a language platform that can do language stuff in many industries and in many different media formats. When we first began, the biggest pain point was in the industry was you were not able to order translations online. Literally, you couldn't upload your documents, see the price, the delivery time, and give your credit card. There was no process like this. Everyone was still sending emails, lots of back and forth for pricing and documents, etc. The first thing we want to get rid of was that the instant quoting mechanism, and we matured it very quickly, supporting all kinds of documents, more than 50, 60 document formats in all languages, correct word counts, correct pricing, no modification, no correction of pricing afterward, etc. That was the biggest pain point, and we mostly focused on healthcare, localization, and legal as industries in that process because their documents are one of the hardest. You need to process PDF files, you need to process just images of documents that they, take from with their phone, etc. So that was the most difficult thing to improve. And we started with that, and I think we've done a good job.
So tell us a little bit about, MotorWord services, and sort of, how much of it is involved nowadays with the legal industry? Is that one of your biggest segments?
Mhm. Legal, healthcare, localization, I think can be considered one of our some of our biggest segments. For legal, our biggest services are, of course, certified translation, legal translations, and our new baby from last year, academic evaluations. What we did the same thing we did for translation for academic evaluations. You're still not able to order evaluation services online in this industry. We changed that. You can just go to our website and order academic evaluations as well. So those two services are the biggest for our legal customers and immigration customers. But again, Motorola is a whole language platform that can do all kinds of website localization, software localization, transcription, audio translation, subtitling, etc. So whenever we our customers need those kind of services, we also help them with that. Like let's say you're a lawyer and you have a website and your customers are mostly Spanish speaking customers. So you want that small website translated. We can handle that for you very quickly as well.
So when you first started, you mentioned the first thing that you wanted to get rid of was sort of the back and forth, sort of awkwardness of requesting the translation. The process at that time wasn't seamless just because the technology was in a different stage, an earlier stage back then. So how did it work? I mean, when you first started, were there actual human translators doing all the translation, or was it still a combination of machine translation and human translation? And how has it evolved over time?
Nice. We always have and still have professional human translation workflows. So our translation is done by professional translators. Our proofreading is done by professional translators. So the whole process is done by professional people. That's how we started. Uh, but you also need machine translation in some aspects. For instance, for instant translations, where you're translating a speech in real time. For those services, we always had machine translation, and since then, a lot has changed. But the needs for where the translation is used is still the same. So yes, we're using more AI, we're using more technology, and we are developing new unique technologies every day. I'll mention some of them later. But that professionality is still there. That's a big requirement. So all of our processes are always handled by professional translators or our in-house team. Uh, some of those processes are more automated these days, but we always assure that the output is a final professional output that can be used everywhere.
So now the human translators, are they people within the company or they're your contractors? You have a whole sort of list and a whole sort of, list of contract translators that you regularly work
Some
with?
of them are in-house, most of them are contractors. We have more than 26,000 translators, and these are professional translators. They're not just native speakers. Actually, because we're obsessed with automation at Motaword, vendor intake is our most manual step. We literally talk to these people like we're doing now. We're bringing them to webinars, to video calls. We talk to them. We look at their resume. We ask them for a test paragraph or test translation. They need to take an exam. Those kind, a lot of manual steps there to make sure that we're always getting the highest quality translators. So 26,000 translators in more than 120, 30 languages. And these people are crunching translations every day in this platform 24/7 with lots of technological mechanisms helping them, making sure about the quality, speed, etc.
And you've obviously got a lot of customers in the United States, and you've got your office here. I mean, is the company now mostly situated in the US, or, 2 locations, US and Turkey, or other places as well?
Yeah. Well, we used to have offices in many places before the pandemic. New York, London, Paris, Istanbul. But our team, the internal team, is very distributed. I think we have people from about 20 countries now in the team. Uh, this also lets us, you know, provide a 24/7 coverage in our services. Uh, Presence-wise, we're more in US and Europe because those are the countries where there's a lot of language activity. And we have our eyes in the Asia, but that still needs us to a little, work on it, recognize the market better and establish the teams there, etc. Time-wise, we have the coverage, but business development-wise, we're trying to get to Asia. But there's a lot of work in US and Europe that's really fun and really rewarding.
So with when you're doing, let's say, US immigration, you need your certified translation. So, what are the steps that are taken to ensure the accuracy and the reliability of those certified translations? And also, if you're are you providing translations for use in immigration processes in other countries? And do you have analogous processes for certifying them for use elsewhere?
I'll answer the second question first because it's shorter. Uh, we can provide certified translation in several countries: US, Canada, France, England. Now we're opening up all of Europe for certified translation. So that's going to bring our number of countries to quite high number. And all of these we're doing in a very automated way. So there's no manual waste of time in these certifications, etc. And automation is really important for us, uh, including in quality assessment, quality analysis, quality improvement, etc. So we have those professional translators and proofreaders. So we pass the translation in two phases anyway, at least three phases. First, there's a professional translator doing the job, and then professional proofreader editing and fixing the errors, or notifying the translator for those errors if there's any. And then our in-house team checks the project and makes sure everything looks fine, and then it's delivered. So this kind of manual sounding process is also automated and supported with a lot of technology, from AI technologies to some normal algorithms, workflow automation, etc. We support our translators with many QA tools, quality assessment tools, because we have a lot of data for language, and we also have a lot of data for a customers' history as well. So we can do a lot of quality assessments very automatically.
So let's introduce our audience to this. So you're are you telling me that all of the translation work, as we said, is supervised by the human translator, but they are employing the AI to assist them in in doing the work, and then they are in charge of the final result. That's human checked. Is this right? Is this right?
Right. So everyone is responsible with their translation or proofreading or finalization step. That's for sure. All of them are reviewed by humans. Uh, AI is used in very interesting places at Motaword, not just translation. Translation nowadays is like a given in the AI systems, but
Yeah.
there's more they can do now. We use a lot of AI for document recognition, extraction, data extraction from documents. For instance, one of the biggest difficulties is transliteration of non-Latin names into English when you're doing certified translation, because everyone can use a different transliteration in the Latin alphabet. So those kind of things are very AI heavy for us to make sure that we're using the right name. Maybe we already translated another document for this person, and we're going to use that kind of transliteration from their previous project. A lot of AI going on for validation of numbers. If you're translating, let's say, a pay slip, for instance, numbers, tables, rebuilding the layout of an original document, a table, for instance, in the target translation document. A lot of AI is used for non-translation stuff. Translation is very critical. You need to be very coherent and consistent and correct. So automating the translation itself, it's already being done in the world. We're already there, but there is a lot to automate around the translation, and we're focusing on that a lot because translation is getting done anyway, the automation of it. Around it, there are many difficulties that we are, I think, achieving to automate.
And how about MotorWord's brand as a company? How would you describe its brand, and how do you try to distinguish yourselves from other players in the translation space?
Before distinguishing, I want to put ourselves closer to TransPerfect for our legal customers. TransPerfect is the leader of the industry. They're doing amazing job, amazing growth, very good customer care. So we want to be the TransPerfect for our legal customers. Grow as much as they are growing and serve our customers as well as they're serving. And I think we're following some good footsteps there, and we're getting there. We're always growing. We Our customer care is amazing, very high NPS scores. So I would say TransPerfect is a good inspiration for us. We want to be as big as they are. Uh, but of course, we can't leave it there because Motorola has a lot of technological infrastructure. So we want to bring. We don't want to just follow what's happening right now in the AI age and in the translation age. uh, we want to lead it to a place where maybe one day, we can provide our customers with an instant legal translation, which is very difficult, honestly, very difficult. You need to be very correct. Everything needs to look perfect. Uh, we want to be there. 2 seconds, you're getting your certified translation.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tall order. I mean, think about that. I mean, to have, because of all of the checking that's, required to
Yeah,
get, I mean,
very difficult.
let's talk about some of those problems. I mean, you're on the technical side, but let's talk a little bit about some of the problems that arise when you're trying to translate legal documents. Like, let's say you have a court judgment or something you want it from the United, or let's say from Turkey, and you want to use in the United States. I mean, there's a gap of a huge gap in sort of how the language works and how you specify and speak very precisely one language versus the other. How do you address that?
Yeah, the style differences between languages in the legal language is kind of established. So we know exactly, how to structure that sentence in English in a very precise way. So we don't really encounter any problems with the like a translation of a sentence in means of style or accuracy, precision. The most difficulty comes from very silly places, like I said, transliteration of names, birthdays or dates generally. Maybe you're missing a comma or a zip code in the address translation. Some silly stuff like that can be easily automated. In that sense, I'm very happy because the translation itself, the linguistic part, is already done properly. and the rest is more mechanical automations where you need to make sure the dates are transferred in the US date format correctly, the numbers are exact, stuff like that. Those are the most difficult things, or most of the issues are coming from those kind of things. But every day we're developing new technologies, or new workflows, new behaviors of those 26,000 translators to make sure that we're not having any of these issues.
Let's talk a little bit about integration. So you integrate, sort of with partners, let's say, like with DocketWise or, with other case management platforms. You may integrate with partners, but you also integrate directly with you have tools for customers to integrate. Let's say you had a corporation that really needed a high volume of translation work. Can they integrate directly and submit through your platform?
Yes, yes, definitely. Our API is huge. We have an API. API is a tool that's used technically for integrations. Uh, we have probably one of the biggest APIs in the whole language industry, honestly. More than 500 endpoints. That means our customers can do everything that Motaword does for our own. We are also using our API to bring you this platform. So we're giving the same API to our customers as well. They can just do their own Motaword in their company. We don't care, and we support it a lot. We have customers that are automating a lot of translation stuff, especially in localization stuff. Our API is huge, but API is a little very low level, so you need like technical people to actually do the integration in your team. Instead of that, we're bringing integrations like you mentioned with DocketWise to our customers. That's the easiest way. We love integration. Our infrastructure for integration is quite mature at this point, so we're able to just roll out integration in 2 3 days very quickly. And we want to be where the customers are, because like in the beginning of Motaword, we're really obsessed with this seamless experience of translation. It's AI age. We can't make people work so much just to order translations or just to get their translations back. So we want to be where the customers are, whichever tools they're using for their documents or legal processes. This is more like technical integration part of it, product and daily workflow integration. The second part is more social, in my opinion. We have customers that we onboard the whole company. We give them a nice subdomain such as I don't know, docketwise.motor.com, and they ask all of their employees of their company to use that address, and everything is managed in a very central way. This is more of a social and cultural integration, and we're seeing a lot of benefit from this more comprehensive onboarding of our customers. Once a customer starts using Motaword with all of their employees and the team members, everything's changing in their life in means of managing their translation needs. Because now they have literally an in-house language team at their hand that they can talk to via chat on our website 24/7. We're responding to chats in 30 seconds. We're very proud of it. No AI, by the way, only humans. uh, they have this in-house team at hand, and they can solve all of their language problems in a very automated way, in a modern way. They can use, I don't know, they can use their mobile apps, websites, wherever they are. Comes with integration. So I usually separate integration topic in like technical and product workflow integrations and this social integration. When you bring them together, you're good.
Have you made any inroads into the public sector? Do you have any government clients? Are you in any countries?
Yeah, we just became a SAM
Mhm.
approved company yesterday or 2 days ago, actually. Evren is really good at those things. So he's doing a lot of, he's covering many of our official needs like that. Uh, we are getting governmental things, especially for interpretation stuff, like video call interpretations, in-person interpretations. Interpretation is something we're slowly rolling out to some customers without going very public about it, because there's also a lot of automation opportunity with interpretation, and we cannot release a service or product without automating it.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that because I didn't know that you had already moved into that area. I thought it was all document translates. Let's talk about what's the state of your live interpretation capabilities and where do you see that going?
Yeah, we're getting there. I think this is my secret agenda in the company. I'm talking to people, and I'm trying to align everyone slowly there, because there's a lot of things to do. You need to, have proper dashboards. You need to have proper infrastructure for real time translation of video calls, like in Zoom, Google Meet, WhatsApp, wherever that doctor and patient is talking to each other, you need to be there and you need to do it very well. Uh, Towards the end of this year, I'm hoping to bring some infrastructure for this very real time live video interpretation with AI plus supported with professional translators. This support with professional translators or vendors is very important to me because I want to release an output that's you can use right away in official ways, in legal ways, etc. You want that polished output from Motaword all the time. Motaword does professional services, and whatever we give to you is the final output.
So, but what's the what is the state of it so far? I mean, in what circumstances can you provide the live interpretation? Has it begun?
Yeah, we're experimenting with some customers, especially hospital customers, because they need very impromptu calls with their patients. So we're giving them an account, we're giving them a system where they can just use their mobile app, uh, get kind of schedule something or have an instant call in 2 minutes. You have a real interpreter right now, a real interpreter talking to you, translating between you and the patient or something. Now we're working on the automation of this. That's why we're not going very public about it, because first we need to bring a lot of AI to this process, and then a lot of dashboards, monitoring, reports, privacy, data security, etc.
Yeah, let's talk about some of those problems. So what are the difference in the problems between ensuring the quality and security for the document translation versus the live interpretation?
Ooh, good question. I guess, wow, the differences between them. Data wise, it's just data for me. So it doesn't matter. We're still running the same processes. We're already SOC 2 certified. So our systems are very enterprise level systems. So for us, it doesn't matter much whether it's an audio data or written data. Uh, I guess maybe some privacy precautions can be taken, like blurring your background properly, maybe an option to not record video, maybe an option to discard audio after transcribing it right away. Stuff like that can be given as options. But data wise, it's just data for us. We're running our regular privacy and security policies.
Well, at the risk of sounding a little naive, I mean, how does the AI come into play in the live interpretation? Because you've got the live interpreter there. It seems to be a totally human endeavor. Where is the AI coming into play?
Right. So ideally, the AI will be translating this conversation on its own. So it could, let's say we're doing consecutive interpretation, meaning I'm talking, I'm pausing, and then the interpreter talks and translates for you. So in that consecutive process, AI will be taking over the role of interpreter, and because Motorhead has to provide professional output, we will have a backup, a real human kind of managing that translation and maybe interfere at that moment. But again, these are, you know, draft plans. We're experimenting with customers and internally.
Are there companies out there that have sort of perfected that process, or that you're.
It's very human heavy right now. Yeah. The academic evaluations as well as interpretation, two things that academic evaluation we've already released, so we provide that service. Interpretation is coming up. Uh, those are very manual processes right now in the industry. Like academic evaluations, you need to download a PDF, fill up a PDF, and send that as an email to request evaluations. What kind of a life is this? It's not gonna work. So we automated that, and we have to do the same for interpretation.
I would have thought that the academic evaluation, since it's really a matter of, a correspondence between one thing and the other, and you can train up an AI on a database of, understanding the educational system in another country. If you're doing an evaluation, let's say someone comes from another country, they have their diploma, they have their transcripts. It would seem to me that you could train an AI up on the, what the educational system is in that country and
Mhm.
what equivalents to make. And but where
Exactly.
so why is it still primarily a human process?
Exactly. That was the question we ask ourselves. You're ordering your academic evaluations via by sending a PDF form, and then it takes 5 days to get your report back. I'm like, come on, guys, grow up a little bit. So we broke that 3 5 day delivery to about 20 minutes.
Oh,
It's
oh,
that
okay.
kind of a
Pretty good.
difference. I don't know why they didn't do it. I don't know why they're doing it. honestly, I think they're earning a lot of money by charging very premium prices to their customers. We already broke that. We're now the cheapest because we're the fastest and the bestest. So we can break the price down a little bit. Uh, I think they don't want to change things.
Let's talk about that.
I don't want to
So
blame
how
anyone,
what
but
kind of a disruptive effect has Motaword had on the translation industry? I mean, are you having a disruptive effect, and to what extent? And then also relating to that, how do you find the reception on the part of translators and interpreters? How receptive are they to the technology? Are they afraid of being put out of business, or are they, are they finding their way to sort of, still finding a place for themselves?
Well, in the first 2, 3 years of Motaword, we had a lot of discussions with our translators, and some of them uh, came, said things out. This is never gonna work. This is never gonna work. You can't translate like this. You can't translate like that. Well, it turns out it works. And those people, those translators also, we convinced most of them by logic, by talking to them, by showing them how this is supposed to work, how we're changing some of the workflows. And some of them got really used to it and they love it now. Some of them, of course, they left the platform, and that's okay. 26,000 translators. We don't need 1 million translators anyway. So it worked out well. But we did have some resistance from some of the translators. And surprisingly, it wasn't about age or something. Most older translators were really happy to be involved with this weird Motorword workflows 10 years ago. And they're very on board now. And some of them are just earning their lives from Motorword, and they've been with us for a very long time. Uh, Interesting times. I really like those discussions. They revealed a lot about human nature to me.
In terms of the economics of the deliverable, I mean, how let's talk about sort of like the ModaWord pricing model and how that differs from getting document translations the old-fashioned way.
I should say we're not the cheapest, and that's not our aim here, but we're not very expensive. We're very like market average price. From the translator's perspective, we're also paying out quite well. In that sense, the more automation we do, the more work they do, and they earn more money from us. So we try not to hurt our translators by automation or by replacing them with AI or something like that. Just the opposite, we're trying to give them new task styles, right? So for instance, reviewing birth dates,
Right.
or uh, you know making sure this report reads fine, or something like that. Some other linguistic things, some of them are non-linguistic stuff, maybe filling up a form for your driver license translation, for instance, stuff like that. So there are a lot of places where our vendors can be used, and we really like paying our vendors, even though it's a cost. Because I started kind of thinking about our vendors not as just translators, but they're professional people who can do many different tasks, very diverse set of tasks at Motaword. And because Motaword is a whole language platform with professional output, there are many things in between, like is this layout looking fine to you kind of questions. I think we're keeping our translators happy in that sense.
As it sounds like from for the customers, the main benefit is the speed and also the accuracy and the ease and the convenience. It seems like that's really it's, rather than it being a lower cost, but it seems like it's more the speed and the convenience of being able to get the translation quickly and get high volumes of translation quickly. And, would you agree with
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, I will definitely agree with that. That will be our primary selling point. But we're also reflecting a lot of cost benefits to our customers. Because we keep improving our systems, some of our costs are getting lower. When that happens, we immediately reflect that change to the customer. For instance, in Spanish language pairs, for instance, very low rates because we automated the hell out of it. So we reflect those changes. The second thing is Motaword. I think if you work with Motaword, you're future proof for your language needs. There's a whole engineering team here trying to innovate in the system every day, and you don't want to work with an agency or something that is constantly behind the technological curve. Instead, you want to work with a kind of a company that wants to lead the industry, into better days, and we keep giving them cost benefits, decreasing the rates, faster workflows, seamless experiences. We're trying to be everywhere where they are within integrations. I think if they when they work with us, they feel very future proof about their language stuff.
I mean, it's natural. I mean, it's a natural thing for that talking about the translators now, it's a natural thing for them to, worry about how the technology is gonna affect them like people in so many industries are, but I can really see how it can be advantageous for translators because they get to a certain point, they don't wanna spend all their time doing word for word translation the old-fashioned way. That's a very labor-intensive process, and it's limiting in terms of how much work you can actually accomplish in an hour or in a day. But if their time is better spent used on reviewing on some of the higher order, supervising the product that has been produced with the assistance of the AI, that is really allowing them to actually do more work and do work that's of a higher order rather than constantly be in the weeds.
And I feel like, with the AI, especially since last year, everyone's talking about how to retrain the workforce. That's kind of how I feel. We're retraining our 26,000 translators for this AI heavy age, and I think they're doing very fine because the translation industry has always been the leader in AI. For since 1960s, we've been trying to do machine translation, and this industry is very accustomed to implementing new technologies, even though they never had this, instant ordering 10 years ago. But with machine translation, they're very used to using machines for translation and language stuff. Uh, I think they're gonna feel very natural to find new tasks, new, uh, I don't know, styles of work in this new age, and we're doing our best to help them. We're also we're also constantly retraining our internal team as well. Right now, everyone is in our team, or most people in our team, is able to use workflow automation systems and AI connected with their internal processes and automate everything. So we're kind of starting to disconnect automation from engineers as well. That's a big retraining for me, and I want to get done with this year, for instance, because new age. I don't want my team to work in smaller things that they can easily automate with AI.
Is there a big difference between, how you work with people in the different industries? I mean, is there any significant difference between how you are working, let's say, with the legal industry versus how you are working with the healthcare industry versus finance or business, or is it basically all variations on the same thing?
Well, there are big differences. Healthcare and legal industry, they're more similar. But if you start talking about localizing software or websites, marketing translations, emails, brochures, those kind of stuff, uh, the work is very different. The language is very different. You need to follow a more creative language, maybe. But the document formats are very different too. The integrations are very different. Now you're translating a whole software, which is a very technical place. Uh, the needs are different. Maybe they're using technical terms, not just terminology, but the structure of the files are very different. There may be sentence by sentence and not really a visual document, for instance, like a PDF file. So the contents and the technicality of it is very different. But again, we're very used to serving our customers in different ways, and we're able to customize workflows very easily and serve exactly what they need. And thanks to also the technological infrastructure, we're able to accommodate all kinds of files, all kind of content structured in different ways. And we keep bringing new things. For instance, we've been working on in the last couple of years, working on perfecting a concept that we call embedded translation, translating, let's say, birth certificate instantly. And how can I explain this better? Like translating a document into English and still make it look like the original document. Just the text is different. That kind of a very, very, we call it embedded, very natural looking translations. If you keep working and going crazy with these kind of things, I think you're serving your customers well and they feel safe with you.
What are you most excited about? Like your top couple of things that you're most excited about in terms of where the technology is going?
Nice. One is definitely instant translation of PDF and images. in that moment. I really want to do that. It's a very difficult thing, very difficult thing. The difficulty of it is, yeah, maybe you can do like 80% of the documents fine, but the remaining long tail can drive you crazy. So I really want a feature that we can easily and perfectly translate a PDF file or an image file. The second one is this real-time interpretation with AI. If this industry of this world can, do that, I think it's gonna be a much better world. And we can use that for social circumstances as well. Like maybe you're marrying someone from a different country and you want your mother to talk to them. Those kind of things. Uh, those two things are, I think, I'm very passionate about this year.
Are there any aspects of Motaword that are B2C, or is it entirely B2B for the time being? I'm asking because you mentioned about you mentioned about the social media and that sort of thing.
Currently, our B2C customers are mostly immigration customers. So they're translating their birth certificates, transcriptions, or something. And we're also getting a lot of academic evaluation orders from individual customers as well. Those two will be the biggest portion for our individual customers, I guess. Yeah.
What are you most proud of with the company? I mean, it's been an 11-year journey. I mean, did it start out, like as a typical startup, or, was it sort of the product of, more established business people? And what are you most proud of as far as the company?
Nice, nice. Good question, James. I like it. Uh, we started the company with a startup mindset, that's for sure. No existing structure. We tried to forget everything as much as we could and then rebuild this whole thing. So it was definitely a startup mindset. From my experience, the best thing that happened to me at Motaword was, after 10 years, I feel like I can execute businesses in different industries, or not just in the transition industry. I feel like I'm more business savvy after 10 years. I love that confidence. I love that I gained this kind of a skill, especially thanks to Evren. He's a very good businessman. I learned a lot from him. And that was my biggest gain from the Motoverse journey. Uh, Motaword as a company also learned a lot, and I think the biggest thing we learned, and we've done well with, was our team. Uh, I'm very proud to say, it gives me goosebumps. I'm very proud to say our team, it's very established, very stable. Uh, I think I can say they love each other. The communication is perfect. Everyone knows how to work remotely, and everyone can carry their responsibilities. They're very interactive. They take care of each other. They take care of Motaword. They sleep with Motaword. They wake up with Motaword. I think that's the biggest thing Motaword did. If you fail at, I don't know, whatever, instant translation, if you fail at certified translation, if you fail at real time interpretation, whatever, website translation infrastructures, I think we've succeeded in building a good team.
Fantastic. Now, last time I ran into it was here in the US. I'm trying to remember. I think it was it in Texas? Well, it was here in the US, but are you based here in the US now? Or are you in Istanbul?
I'm based in New York. Yeah.
You're based in New York. Okay. All right. And so let's say a typical immigration law firm. I mean, just go through all the ways that Motaword can help this law firm with its language needs. I mean, in terms of offering its services to clients in multiple languages, in terms of its translations. I mean, just what are all the ways Motaword can help a U.S. immigration law firm?
Apart from our regular services, certified translation, legal translation, etc., I think they can benefit a lot from our, if they consider us their internal language department.
Yeah.
They can get a lot of help, just impromptu help, for any topic. Their website translation, we already have a very good automated uh, infrastructure tool for website localization. For instance, in 5 seconds, you can translate your website to any language very quickly. They can use that tool to serve their customers better, and also for their SEO capabilities, so that they can be found if their Spanish speaking customer is googling something. They can come, you know go in front of that audience with website translation. Or if they're having some difficulty in that exact moment with, but about talking to their customers, and they're having a language difficulty, Just come talk to us. 5 seconds later, we'll be on the phone. No worries. Treating us as your language department really brings a lot of benefits. I think that should cover, most of the things that a law firm can encounter in their daily operations.
Oytun, do you foresee a time we talked a little bit about the instantaneous, live interpretation. Do you think that'll eventually be available for, like, law firms or other businesses to use, on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I think it will definitely happen. It has to happen. Even if we are not doing it, someone has to do it.
Have you thought about some of the trends, the larger trends with the AI in the legal industry as a whole? And do you see any of the trends with how lawyers are using AI, intersecting at all with, sort of their language needs?
Oh yes, yes, definitely. We are kind of like living proof of it because in our academic evaluation services, we're not doing translation. It's a whole different thing. So we're doing a lot of language processing, a lot of AI stuff, understanding the document. We're writing a report, a draft report with AI. This is like 10 page of document. Lots of AI processing is involved. So there is a lot of automation happening and will happen in the legal industry. I'm so looking forward to document creation, document understanding, following up on cases, creating a case, an argumentative case, digging up files, historical files to find, I don't know, sample cases or some specific information from this customer's documents, maybe 1,000 documents they have. Uh, Finding information, creating text, creating arguments. On those fronts, I think we're already seeing some tools in the market. Those should be even better soon, I think, especially this towards the end of this year. I expect more maturity in this kind of tools. And from a translation and legal perspective, I really want a future where we just don't waste time with translation anymore. A government officer, I can imagine them, looking at their computer to a birth certificate and they click translate with Motaword and they see the perfect, correct translation in their screen right away.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's gotta happen. I mean, it's in some ways, like you said, translation and language has always been at the forefront of sort of this,
Hmm.
the AI and the machine learning revolution.
Yep.
So I think it's gonna be one of the first sort of areas of life to kind of get perfected by AI.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, what are some of your favorite industry events to attend where not only get out and meet customers, but also, keep up on developments in the field?
AILA, AILA, AILA.
Okay, for
uh,
sure.
I mean, we're already their only translation member benefit. So we work a lot with AILA members. But their events, I love their events. And I keep seeing like I keep seeing familiar faces all the time. So
Yeah,
it became a social thing for me at this point where it's like, hey, let's go get coffee. So let's go to that event. I'm actually flying tomorrow to Atlanta for an AILA event.
that's great. Yeah, it's a wonderful community, no doubt about that. The immigration lawyer community, it's close and it's a very welcoming environment, no doubt about
Yeah,
that.
I love working with AILA. We love all of our team loves supporting our AILA members. If you guys don't know, the audience, we're giving 15% discount to AILA members. So go to your AILA member portal, go to member benefits, click Motaword, and then on our website you're gonna get 15% discount.
And if they wanted a demonstration or a tour of how
Mhm.
MotorWord works, how can they get that?
Anytime, anytime. Our sales team, or even I'm joining many of the demos actually. Just go to our website, contact us, write in the chat. We'll schedule something right away.
All right. Well,
Uh,
we're getting to the end of the hour. Oytun, it's been fantastic having you here to talk about MotorWord. Definitely a major player in the translation space and bringing the forefront of AI to immigration lawyers. So, if you haven't checked out MotorWord and how it can sort of revolutionize your practice, definitely go to their website, check it out, get a demo, and you can run into Oytun and myself at the AILA events annual conference coming in June. But thanks very much and join us next time for Immigration Uncovered. And thank you, Oytun, for joining us.
Thank you, James, for this great conversation.